All right, let's get into it. This is the most intriguing round as we reach the top of the agenda, and it's got a hell of a good starting point at the MCG when Carlton and Melbourne meet. So Melbourne have bared their defensive teeth and the Blues just have a little bit of the wobbles up.
Really confident in the way that we play, really confident in the method that we bring. And certainly the belief that's been built over a period of time sort of shows that we've been able to compete against some really good sides. Not just compete, we've been doing pretty well.
Out of nowhere, 3 in a row and Carlton are in front.
But we also understand that there's a couple of things we need to be able to get after and we need to be able to execute for a little bit longer.
Right foot snap, he's kicked for goal.
This competition doesn't allow you to get comfortable. Every week's a new challenge and the competition demands that you get better.
It's going to go all the way, straight over the goal boy's head.
And that chance comes again tomorrow night against Carlton. We know when we play them, they're tight games.
Hey, get the start of the game.
They're close games and they're exciting games.
The Blues are through to a prelim final. Can you believe it?
Last week, we lost some ascendancy around the ball. When you look at Melbourne's strengths, they've obviously got a real strength around that part of their game with Gawn and Traka and Oliver and all the names. They've got some big balls in there and so have we, so it'll be a nice little strong contest.
It'll be a contest, all right. The matchups in the midfield, the matchups of Carlton's forwards against Melbourne's defenders, we're well schooled in it. Now, the teams play a major role here ahead of tomorrow night. Carlton have made 4 changes. There are 3 omissions from last week's defeat and Zach Williams is injured. So Young, Fantasia, Cunningham and Zach Williams make way. McGovern's back after a 3-week absence. Jack Martin, who's the player they've been waiting for, it feels like, in that forward setup's going to play his first game of the season. Ollie Hollands wins his place back in Kemp as well after being dispensed with.
Kemp, I called him Dent last week.
That's right.
Kemp.
Kemp. And Jake Bowie returns after he suffered the broken collarbone in opening round.
Well, they're better. Straight away, they're better with McGovern coming back in and Martin. I don't know how long it takes him to get into the swing of footy. He's a touch player. But he can be quite a brilliant player. We don't see enough of him.
No, he plays about half the time, just more than half the time.
And when we start seeing him really not dominate games but have a significant impact, he's out injured, and you think, okay. Anyway, so hopefully he gets a good run at it. These two teams, Gerard, you know, you call them, you watch them. It's stoppage contest defence.
So notoriously low scoring. They played 3 games last year. 8 goals to 6, Melbourne won by 17. 9 goals to 8, Carlton won by 4 points. And then that unforgettable semi-final, 11 goals to 9, Carlton win by 2 points. And beyond that, just these are such hard-fought, low-scoring, scrapping affairs.
They are. They're torrid games. And perhaps, you know, the torridness of a game of football is... It's in some people's eyes it's fun to watch, in other people's eyes it's not. But Collingwood got Carlton in a lot of ways last week, but one of them is when they got outside, they ran and they got them. Their pressure got them, and then they got outside and they were able to move the ball. Melbourne aren't as quick as Collingwood, so it's going to be a slog. And I'll be very surprised, Gerard, if one of these teams lays down and gets beaten by 50, 60 points.
Oh, yeah.
That would just blow my mind. I'm thinking, well, what's going on here? We're looking at 2 serious contenders here, and they may meet again. Who knows? But as you would always say, we'll get a marker, Gerard. We'll get a marker from this game.
So I feel like Melbourne showed us their marker last week of what that looks like. Now Carlton have to find a way through it, and they're schooled in it. They've had 3 looks at it last year, and that is recent form. They know the matchups, they know the strengths and the tension points. So get to it. They've lost 3 out of 4, the Blues. One more, and they'll be outside the 8, and we'll be going, are those good?
Are those good? But they're all different teams. Melbourne plays different to Collingwood. Right, so they're not looking at how they played against Collingwood. They'll have areas that want to improve, but they've got a whole new army coming at them who are going to play. They're going to go to war with a different strategy. So, you know, May Lever, Curnow, Charlie, Curnow and Harry Mackay. I mean, those 2 Melbourne defenders have just been champions of the game in a lot of ways in this era. They're just unbelievable footballers, and I think Melbourne's forward 50. I think it's starting to take shape, Gerard. I don't think we'll see Ben Brown again. I think they're going to stick with Turner, and McAdam's going to get a game soon.
Yep.
I think they're starting to come together, Melbourne.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hello, Bush. Get to work on the Blues. Brutal or brittle?
Yeah, I think when you get a chance to watch the game back again, like most of us have this week, and you're looking for small margins and why they let that game slip. And you can't help but noticing the amount of times that Carlton fumble or feel the heat and haven't handled the heat of the opposition, confronting them from the side or from the front in a genuine 50-50 ball. Now, we have lauded Carlton last year for how tough they were to play against and how brutal they are in a contest. They're far from that at the moment. Now, they can gather that back, but they're going to have to do it in a hurry. And it's not their last 6 picked players. It's the ace, king, queen. So let's have a look at some of the vision, and you be the judge as to whether you reckon they're tough enough with ground ball at the moment, or they're as tough as the industry needs them to be. This is Paddy Cripps. Now, you've got to get the ball from inside to out in modern game. The ball rolls around, ball movements involved, all those sorts of things, but in the end, you've got to be able to move the ball from inside traffic to out. That there has been an effective handball from Paddy Cripps forever and a day. Fumbles. Collingwood win the ball back, off they're gone again, out the front. Same thing again. Perfect opportunity to clear the ball. Turnover. Collingwood, out the front, gone. You get one chance. You can't fumble and you can't miss your target. If you miss your target, you're giving it to these guys and they're off and gone. And some of them are just cold, blatant panic errors. Panic handballs, and then look at Collingwood go, out the front. So I blame Carlton as much as I laud Collingwood from last week. That, just not hard enough. Just not hard enough. 50-50 ball, didn't go as hard as what Noble did, and out they are, out the front again, shot a goal. This happened time and time and time again. And Collingwood are effective at this, but they're nowhere near the levels of Melbourne. In tight and tough. You come up against Petrarca and Viney and Gawn and Oliver and Sparrow, and they want to hurt you. Now, this is Walsh. He's just making his way back, played a month of footy, but normally he's one grab and gone. And then Collingwood are off. And this is the biggest one of the game that we've all talked about and we've all seen. Do you really want it? Do you really want that ball? Dennis Pagan used to call it the 1 metre test. You either pass it or you fail it and you move on. But the rolling spotlight of footy is on you at that moment. They failed that moment probably 20 times last week. Now, that game's gone. So you've got to turn the page and you've got to look to this one. But the numbers are alarming. You know, they were last year, for the last 6 weeks of the year, they were number 1 team in the competition at winning ground ball, plus 87 on their opponents. And the second was GWS, plus 43. Massive gap. Yep. So they were totally dominant. This year, they're mid-pack. They can't be mid-pack. They have to be brutal for everything to fall into place for Carlton. They got good representation forward of the ball, and they got a solid defence. Missing a few, getting a few back this week. It's not really about those guys. In the middle and at clearance, they haven't been the same product this year, and I reckon that's why. Too many double clutches, too many guys feeling the heat and not handling what's coming at them, when in recent years they've embraced that. They've sought contact.
Are they soft, Joey?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. No, but it's a good point, because I think we've seen some inconsistencies with Carlton. I reckon mid-year last year, you showed some stuff on Paddy Cripps not being as strong as he can be, and then the second half of the year breaking out of tackle. So it's surprising, but it's great to see, because we just presume Carlton are a tough, win ground ball sort of team, but the proof's in the pudding.
So if you can't be clean, you can't be in at centre bounce. And it's a no-fumble league now. I mean, you just don't get 2 opportunities to gather possession. And if you take 2 opportunities, you've generally moved your teammates too far, Joey. Like, they're looking to get proactive. They're moving from there to there. And that's enough that if you turn it over, you leave the front door open for the opposition. So they're their own worst enemies at the moment. Now, can it correct? It can correct like that. But it has to start with Paddy Cripps, and it has to start with Sam Walsh, and it has to start with Adam Cerra being harder for longer than Melbourne on Thursday night.
Those are good terms to set for the game. Good terms.
Brittle Blues.